Molly, I'm your yoga teacher. Welcome to class 2 of 4 in this yin and restorative series for tight and or sore muscles. Today's class focus will be on our legs, so mostly our quads and hamstrings, a little bit into the calves. Grab whatever props you have. I'm going to use a bolster and 2 blocks, but use a pillow, blankets folded up. And then for our last pose, it would be handy but not required if you had a strap or belt. So collect all your things or go without and we'll get started. So today we're going to begin in a Janu Shirshasana variation. So we're going to extend our right leg out long. And then our left knee will bend and we'll bring our foot behind us. So we're moving into internal rotation. If that's very uncomfortable, take the traditional pose by putting the sole of your left foot on the inner seam of your right leg. Regardless, we're going to find a forward fold to move into our hamstrings. So I want you to pick up your sit bones, scoot them back behind you, and kind of roll your pelvis forwards. Now, options, you can bring your blocks nice and high on either side of your leg and rest your bolster on top of that. If you're a little more open in your hamstring, then I want you to just lay it lengthwise across your whole or down your whole right leg. Wherever you are, take an inhale to pull the crown of your head forward and reach your sit bones back. And then exhale, find your forward fold. Start to tune into your breath. Feeling the inhales come in through your nose, fill up your belly, your low back space, your side ribs, and then up into your chest cavity. And then exhale out of your nose nice and slow. Inhale in through your nose. Exhale, release. And then as you release, feel your outer tips of your shoulders become heavy. The back of your heart spreads nice and wide. You're not feeling this as much in your right hamstring. I want you to turn your left cheek down and send more of the weight over to the outer edge, the right edge of your right leg. Release the engagement you have in your right foot. And let your left femur bone just sink heavy into the mat. As you start to open up more into the back of your right thigh, your right hamstring, maybe you remove a block or a bolster or a prop. Melt down even heavier. If this feels like a lot for your low back and your hamstring, I want you to keep your right leg straight but rise out of the fold. So build up more props underneath you. The first class we were emphasizing low back, so it was okay to bend into that knee. But now I want you to keep your knee straight and adjust your trunk as needed. So take 4 or 5 more breaths wherever you are. And then with ease, start to rise up. Bend your right leg. Move your bolster to the side. And then swing your left leg out in front of you. We're going to come into like a combat squat. So shift your weight over your right foot and tuck your left heel underneath your sit bone. So the focus here will be on our calves. It's not really a traditional yin posture by any means, but let's just get a nice calf stretch in. I'm okay if you track your knee over your toe. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to give you actually a better stretch in this position. So let your torso weight heavy into your thigh. Let your thigh move down towards your knee and down towards the mat to increase the sensation on the back of your right calf. Just an area that seems to be neglected in the yoga practice and just with my own fitness endeavors, so it feels good to stretch. Try to keep your heel glued down to the mat. And 5 more breaths. And you start to feel a release and you're able to shift forward more for 3. Nice work. Gently come back upright and we'll switch sides. Moving into our Janu Shirshasana, extend your left leg out long. Right foot can come in with the knee out to the side, or right knee can come in and right foot can sweep back behind you with that internal rotation. So again, either stacking blocks on either side with the bolster on top, or bolster nice and long down the whole length of your left leg. So take an inhale to scoot those sit bones back underneath you and reach the crown of your head long in front of you. And then exhale, release down. I like to cross my hands underneath the bolster on top of my shin. Just feels like I can relax there and not engage as much. Relax your left toes. And let your breath move throughout your whole body. And if you want more sensation, turn your right cheek to the mat and bring more of the weight to the outer edge of your left thigh. If you want less sensation, bring your trunk up and stack more props underneath you. Find your sweet spot. And let your femur bone drop heavy to the mat. 3 more breaths. As gently as you can, lift your torso up, move your prop to the side. Sweep your right leg in front, bend into your left knee. Right heel underneath your bottom. We'll move into our combat squat. So you're resting on your right shin. Your left heel is planted down into the mat. And then start to let your body drop heavy onto your thigh and let that weight slide your knee past your toes. Again, we're not really too focused on form or aesthetics here. Just find somewhere where you feel a nice calf stretch and then melt into it. As you relax more into this posture, see if you can slide your shin further forward as your left heel remains grounded. Five more breaths to settle in more. Rise back up. We'll move into a half hero pose. So keep your right knee bent. Extend your left leg long. Your right heel hugs in towards your right outer hip. This is going to bias the front of your right quad, and then eventually, if you want, we can extend more to bias the right hip flexor. But just see how this feels first. This can be a lot. This was a whole lot for me when I started yoga. If you need more support behind you, place a bolster to prop you up a little more, or even underneath your hips. If that immediately feels like a ton, I want you to sit your hips onto a bolster and hang out here. Actually feels really good. But if you'd like to move further, I want you to start to lean your shoulders back. Maybe you prop your elbows onto that support system. Maybe you lowered them down onto the mat. Hang out here for a second. Send some breath into the front of your right quad. If it's comfortable, you can drop your head back. If you still feel softness and not tension, then eventually maybe you lower down your whole back to the mat. Plenty of options and modifications. Let your low back start to melt towards the mat. Let it widen. And your shoulders broaden down. Again, it's not about the look of the pose. So even if you can go to the full version but you're tensing up, maybe try a different variation. This is about the feel. This is about how much you can relax and settle into your shape. Maybe it's different side to side. More breaths. For 2. And then tuck your chin towards your chest if you dropped your head back. Start to put the weight into your elbows and then the palms of your hands. And you gently rise back up. Hang out here for just a brief second. And then we'll switch sides. So extend your right leg long. Ooh, shake it out a little bit if you need. Rolling your toes side to side. And then bend your left knee. Bring your left heel by your left glute. And then again, just feel it out. So if you want to place the bolster underneath your hips, and then hang out up here or lean back. I think this actually stretches my quad more than the full variation. So I might hang out here, but as you're ready, you can lean back onto your elbows. Take a few breaths there to make sure you're moving with ease. And then eventually maybe you lower into full or half here, all the way down onto the ground. Up, just start to settle in. If you have a really grippy mat like I do, and this is uncomfortable for the top of your foot, feel free to place a t-shirt or a pillowcase, anything underneath that's soft. Or wear socks. We're here for a couple minutes. I really like teaching and filming these classes because it actually forces me to move into these long held stretches, which for me is a little tougher. My attention span and my distraction gets the better of me. I feel like I have other stuff to do that this maybe isn't important enough, but I'm always reminded that it is. This is super important. It feels so good. It just lets our nervous system have a few precious moments set aside to calm down. So find that sense of calmness for about 5 more breaths. Nice and slow. option to pause the video and stay longer. Whenever you're ready, start to prop onto your elbows and then your hands. And then let's shake out that left leg a little bit, stretch it long, roll your knees from side to side. And we're going to move into full hero pose. So that same thing, but with both legs at the same time. Let's start out with sitting on our heels. And let's place the bolster in between. Because you could totally hang out here and just feel really good. Or, again, if you want more of that quad emphasis, keep the bolster there. Because it kind of extends your hips further forward. You can plant onto your palms and drop your head back. And if you want a little more, bring our heels to the outsides of our thighs. And then again, use whatever support system you need underneath your elbows, your hands, your head. Hang out for a few breaths, and then if you find that your breath is still nice and slow and easeful, then release all the way down onto the mat. Hips are between your heels. Breath is into your belly. Hands can be somewhere along your heels, your thighs, your belly, or stretched overhead, clasping onto opposite elbows. Release the tension in your low back and soften the contraction of your thighs. We're here for about 30 more seconds. Start to wiggle into your toes, find some life again. And then as comfortably as you can, move out of this pose. Take your time. It's not a rush. We don't want to immediately move into the next posture. We need to give our body some time to rebound from that big stretch. Eventually, sweeping your feet in front of you. We'll take some windshield wipers, dropping your knees from side to side. And then let's move into our hamstrings again. We'll come into a wide-legged forward fold. So face the long edge of your mat. Heels will extend to the outer corners. Again, I want you to send your sit bones back and act as if you could spill your pelvic bowl kind of forward. Now, grab whatever props you need. Build them up as high as you need. I like to start with the black blocks as high as they go and then the bolster on top of that. And rest your forearms, your elbows down. Forehead onto your bolster. So this is getting into our hamstrings, but also our inner thighs, our abductors, our groin. No need to flex your toes back. Just let them hang. And then as you feel like your upper body getting heavier, your lower body opening more, maybe you take out or lower your props. Or find a happy medium. You can also create kind of a ramp shape with the block on the further end of the bolster to rest your head onto. Again, just check in with your body, check in with your breath. Are you holding on? Are you tensing? Are you letting your back body get expansive and soft? The purpose of this pose is not just to go as deep as you physically can by contracting, but to go to that sweet spot where you feel a nice stretch, but you're able to just release into it. So find that last sweet spot for you, and we'll stay for a few more moments. Take 3 more breaths. And then gently press through your fingertips, your palms. We'll move into our final pose. I'm going to give you 2 options for legs up the wall. The first option is if you actually have a wall you want to use. You're going to, this is where your strap or belt will come in handy. You don't have to use it, but it's a really nice way to just let your legs completely relax and lose all engagement. So make a loop and then fish your feet through it. And then make it so that it lets your legs come to about hip width distance, or maybe a smidge bit narrower. So if you want, you can turn to face the wall, scoot your hips to the very crease, extend your legs long, and then heels rest against the wall. This feels wonderful. This is a great option. And again, if you need to tighten into the strap so that your legs can just totally flop and relax, please do. And then our other option, if you don't want to do that one, is keep your strap on. And then we're going to build a little support system for our legs to rest onto. So stack your blocks hip width distance on the tallest setting. And then bolster goes on top of that like a little bridge. I'm excited for this one. Scoot your hips as close as you can or want. And then bend your knees, rest your calves on top of the bolster. And then just let your legs totally release. If you want, you can like bring a blanket into play, totally wrap up. Good place to experiment in how heavy can your legs feel. How little can you work to engage them? And find that sense of ease making its way through your whole body. Widening across your kidney space. Widening across your shoulders. Softening into your face and your jaw. Here for another minute or so to do with that time what you wish. This feels like a good place for your Shavasana and you want to hang out longer or move into a meditation or go to bed, feel free. Otherwise, our practice will end here and I'll see you guys for our next neck, shoulder, and chest focused class. Please share this with others and I'll see you next time. Thanks for practicing. Namaste.